What's up, guys? Welcome to A Reseller's Life. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's episode, I want to talk about not killing the eBay golden goose that pays your bills. My name is Chris. I make a full-time living selling stuff online. And today I want to talk about taking care of your golden goose. I'm going to give you 4 steps to really take care of it so that it can pay your bills and, more importantly, give you some abundance. So the first thing you need to do is pay your bills. Then, once you have a little bit of time and some mental real estate, you can work on things that can make you abundant. But let's get straight into it. If you guys appreciate this type of content, please smash the like button and consider subscribing, because I give you guys 1 to 3 actionable tips every single video. So number 1, you have to take care of your goose with quality food. And what that is quality items. You have to have competitive pricing. You have to have fast and reliable shipping times. You have to have quality titles, great photos, and accurate description. So this is the first part. You can't just feed your goose anything. It's got to be quality stuff, because if you take care of the goose will take care of you. The first thing is a one-off seller, and I consider myself mainly a one-off seller, meaning most of the items in my store are one-off items, meaning once I sell them, they are gone. I'm transitioning into a store where I have a connection with the manufacturer, or I create products myself, and that way I can skip the listing part and I don't need to optimize it over and over again, because I just have one item that sells over and over again. But again, that doesn't just happen overnight. So the first thing we need to do is take care of our bills with the golden goose of one-offs. So the first thing is quality items going into your store. Number 2, this is very important and critical. The other steps don't work if you don't do step number 2, which is figuring out what your bills are. So I've been really into personal finance recently and trying to figure out what our bills are. So I know between my wife and I, our bare minimum bills for the two of us is $2,000 per month. This covers property tax, food, insurance, transportation, all that good stuff. Just the bare minimum getting by. And if something terrible were to happen and we needed to just rent a room, it still falls under that $2,000 bucket for bare minimum bones living. Now, no one wants just bare minimum living, so think about what it costs to live a life that's worth it to you. And this is important, because if you don't have a strong why, you're not actually going to be able to get to the next level. So if you have kids, I threw in here, it's probably not going to cost over $1,000 a month per kid unless you buy your kid luxury stuff. It should cost $1,000 or less per kid per month. So figure that part in. Maybe you want to treat your kids a certain way. If you want to do more travel or entertainment, throw that in there. For me and my wife, we figured it out at $700 a month. We're pretty much living 80-90% of an ideal lifestyle. So that means for me, personally, it's $2,700 per month. Also, we have a specific savings goal of $6,000 per month, which again, would just happen if we have extra, but if we don't, we know our bare minimum. So now you have this number. Let's say that your bare minimum is like myself. It's only $1,000 for me, or $2,000 for the two of us. You can think about step number 3, which is the number of items you need to list to meet this bare baseline of bills. That way eBay can pay your day-to-day life, and then if you have extra time, now you have the mental clarity to work on replenishables. You guys know I talk about the 10 by 10 by 10 rule, which is 10 items that sell 10 times a day for $10 profit for $1,000 per day income. I figure from my own personal experience, it takes 3 to 6 months to get one replenishable going, and there's still no guarantee that that replenishable won't be one that's a race to the bottom, or it might tank, or it might become unpopular. So there's no guarantee that the replenishable will work, but it's not something that happens overnight. You still need to find out, where did the item come from, who sells it, how can I get it at a price where I can sell for a profit. That takes 3 to 6 months in my opinion. Not straight, but like it just takes time to build a relationship. You've got to throw out some feelers, figure out who's selling it. It's more like, I would say, 30 to 60 hours of time over a few month period to get somewhere with the product. So you need to have a baseline of income coming into your store first, so that you're not worried about money. The thing that probably kills most small businesses and people that I talk to is they're so worried about paying their bills, they never even think about improving their business, right? Making things more efficient. So the first thing is, what is your baseline number of items? I know for me that my baseline bills are $465 per week, right? So if I was making $10 per item, I would need to list 46 items per week to pay my bills. I also know that the things that I want, like being able to travel with my wife, that's an extra $700 a month, which is roughly 70 items per month extra at $10 per piece in order to pay for the lifestyle we want. I also know that if I want to save $6,000 per month, that's an additional 600 items I need to list per month to reach that savings goal. So when you add that all together, I need to list between 1,000 and 1,500 items per month to reach that goal. Now, if I was personally doing all the listing myself, I would aim for a $20 per item profit, and I still factor in paying myself a salary. And the reason why I do that is because eventually, if I'm doing it by myself, I want somebody to help me, and I figure that is about $5 is the cost of somebody helping you ship, list, cross list, ship, all of that good stuff. Add it all together, I think it's about $5. So at $20, now instead of making 20 doing it myself, I'm making 15 paying somebody else. Just something to consider as you're building your business. Think about what your actual bills are, then build a system of basics to get there. So, number 4, this is the good part. You need to get really good at a niche. And this is part of the abundance section that I'm talking about. So eBay is the golden goose that will keep on laying income for you if you keep throwing stuff in. But the goal is to not have to list, and eBay still keeps feeding you because you have a quality replenishable item. And this is how you do it. So people keep asking me, how do I start? And the steps are almost always the same. So maybe take a second right now, pause the video, go get a notebook and just write down these steps. Should make it easier for you to start building a replenishable. And again, this doesn't really work if you don't have your basics paid for. You need to have an income source that's stable so that you can work on this. This is why so many people skip the thrifting one-off model and go straight into replenishables, because they have a stable income already. This is why people with a full-time income oftentimes build another full-time income on eBay. And people who make a full-time living on eBay, that's it. That's all their income. They never build a second income because they're so worried about this first one. Okay, so that being said, these are the steps. To get really good at a niche, first off, you need the mental clarity. Second off, you need to start narrowing down a specific group of things that you might want to sell. As an example, today on a coaching call, a lady was talking about boots. She wants to sell boots. So I typed in boots into the eBay search bar, and these are the results that eBay gave me. The first result was men's boots. Okay, so that right off the bat, it would say, okay, eBay is predicting that men's boots is a more popular search than women's boots. That doesn't surprise me, because it went men's boots, the second search is women's boots, the third search was work, construction, safety boots, right? So that makes sense to me, because there's probably a lot of industries and occupations that are heavy, maybe more male dominated. So that makes sense to me that category would be third. But right off the top of my head, I wouldn't know that. If you asked me what boots are the most popular, I wouldn't have guessed construction boots. I probably would have guessed, your classic rain boots or something. I would have no idea. But once you type that in, you start to realize, okay, we know men's boots are the most popular, then women's, then construction boots. We wanted to research construction boots. We clicked on it. It popped up, and the first 10 results were all generic items with no name brand. Okay, so that's starting to give me an idea. What is it that people are looking for? Right off the bat, I started to realize keywords that really matter. Steel toe, construction, safety, leather, waterproof, durable. These are the key words that people are looking for when they're searching for boots. Then my client said, you know what, when I was in the construction business, sometimes you either get a really high-end boot that you take care of over time, or maybe 2 pairs of those, or depending on if you're in the trenches where boots are constantly getting ruined, maybe you want a $30 to $50 boot that you can just throw away. Interesting learning about the different categories, right? So as you start doing your searches, you start narrowing down. So now you have let's say you want to sell steel toe, rubber, waterproof, leather, black men's boots. You start to figure out who is selling these boots. right? So you figure out, okay, these boots are sold at the local flea market, they're sold in local retail stores, maybe Nordstrom. You make a list of all the online places that sell them, all the brick and mortar places that sell them, and now you start going there to find out what kind of stock they have, what prices are at. Then you start asking the question, what happens if these shoes don't sell? So the person at the retail store might say, oh, if they don't sell, they go back to the manufacturer. Or if they don't sell, they go to the clearance section. That's one way to approach it. What happens to the stock when it doesn't sell? You're working with existing sellers. The other question you could ask is, where did these shoes come from in the first place? And try to figure out by looking on the box, distributed by X or whatever that situation is with that specific item. That's how you research a niche. And I recommend that you pick a niche that you actually enjoy doing, because it can take a while. Like I said, it's going to take 3 to 6 months to get all the way to the bottom of things and figure out how you can be someone that sells this over and over and over again. The number one boot on eBay that it sells every single day, and every single day this listing gets 974 views. That's from some different tools that I pulled up. I use Zik Analytics and I use Snap Seller tools to research specific industries that I want to build products in. And again, I'm not in a hurry. I have my first private label product is going to go on to Amazon and eBay and all the different platforms probably May of next year. It's July 1st today. So it's not going to hit the market until next year. There's a lot of groundwork that I want to do. I picked a category that I feel like is going to be popular for the next at least 5 or 10 years. So I'm not in a hurry to develop it, and I want to be the manufacturer, right? In the meantime, to research this niche, I'm actually starting to resell the other competitors in my category, so I can really understand what's going on in this niche, and I want to be an expert. So I want to point out that the main reason I can do that is I have time. That's the reason why I'm suggesting that you guys grow your one-off business a little bit larger, because I want you to buy time. People think it's because I hate old people. It's not because I hate old people. I actually love old people. I want them to grow to a point where they can think and maybe get out of the rat race of just listing, selling, listing, selling. And that's where a lot of the eBay marketing goes towards. It's not encouraging different kinds of behavior. It's really just saying you're going to have to do this forever, and I want people to think outside of the box. So again, try to understand where I'm coming from, what the content is I'm trying to make for people. Trust me, I'm actually trying to help people, believe it or not. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And also, all of my videos are sponsored by my reseller field guide. It is the way that I run my business, all my different systems. And this is what I recommend for people who don't want to pay the $35 to support this channel. Just make your own field guide. So I recommend you do a one-page business plan for yourself. So write down on one page how you take photos, how you list, how you ship. If it's more than one page, it's too complicated, okay? So one page, get a legal pad, right? And then put this somewhere visible. Get a pencil and write down on there your little improvements along the way. And I'll tell you, the people who are really, really good at eBay and the people who just started have the same exact business, okay? They find things, they take photographs of it, they describe it, they do the best they can, they ship it as fast as they can, they give the best price they can. It's just the people who have been doing it longer are better at the little nuances. Their workspace is a little bit cleaner. They have a little bit of a better relationship with the suppliers. They have a little more understanding of that category. They have a little bit better way of shipping it. They can ship it a little bit faster because they figured out a pickup from the post office. It's just the amalgamation of hundreds of little things. That's the difference between a world-class reseller selling 10,000 items a day and us little guys who just sell under 100 items a day. So hopefully, guys, this is useful. Thank you again for your time. I'll see you guys on the next episode. And this is part of season 4. So I'm in now the 4th season of presenting this type of information. If you guys don't like the ads on my channel, you can actually listen to my show on iTunes. So it's free on iTunes and there's no commercials, but just help me out there and leave a review. Leave a 5-star review or a 4-star review or a 1-star review if you hate my podcast, but just let me know the feedback in there so you can really help me get this message out to a lot of people. I think that everyone can have a little bit of abundance if you just figure out how to pay your bills, make your bills as low as possible, and then think about what you can get really good at and deliver to your customers. So thanks guys for your time. Take care.